All right, the next part of response to lit gets a little tricky, but also a little fun. I'm sure that you would like to write on your stories. That always is kind of fun. But the first thing we're going to do is start on our template, and we're going to think of 3 characteristics. First of all, we need to decide who our main character is, and we need to decide the lesson that she's going to be learning. So from reading our story now 3 times, I think that the lesson she could learn, one of the lessons is that she could face her fears head on. Now, how many of you like to text message? Well, I do. So the first one, you're going to put face your fear head on, okay? And we're going to try to fit it inside of our magnifying glass, otherwise it'll be just around it. Now we're going to text message that to ourselves on the rest of our paper. So of course it would be F-Y-F-H-O. F-Y-F-H-O. And if we ever forget what it is, we can always look back at the very first one. That's going to be on the front of our template, and it's going to be on the back, because what we're going to be focusing on is face your fears head on. And make sure that is through your complete template and you've text messaged yourself. Okay? The next thing that we're going to do is concentrate on Michelle's character qualities that she's displaying. In the beginning of the story, I believe she's very fearful, and she has butterflies in her stomach. So I'm going to write fearful as her first quality, and I'm going to put butterflies. For the second quality, from the middle of the story, I'm going to put persistence, because no matter what, even though she was very, very fearful, she persisted in practicing. So I'm going to show that she showed persistence, and that was through practice. And if you notice, Miss A is just putting a few key words to help us remember what her character qualities were and some things to explain those. The third one that I think she exhibits is success. At the end, she was very, very successful, and she overcame her fear. Now we have all 3 character qualities, the one at the beginning, the one at the middle, and the one at the end. And of course, the lesson that can be learned is fear can be conquered. So I'm going to write the lesson in and remind myself that fear can be conquered. Now we're going to go down our template, and as we noticed, the character quality 1 was fearful with butterflies. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to write fearful, and I'm going to put butterflies. And then I'm going to go to the middle character quality, and we know that that one is she's persistent. And she practiced. Now we're going to go to the third, which is where she had success over her fear. And then, great news, we're getting to the 5th paragraph, and what we're going to do is simply restate again her 3 qualities that she faced. 1, she was fearful. 2, she was persistent. And 3, she was successful. Now, we have a lot of it filled in. We also know that at the end, that fear can be conquered. So we don't want to put the exact same words. We want to say it a little bit in a different way. So instead of saying fear could be conquered, we could say life is full of fears. It's our job to conquer them. So I'm going to write life is full of fears. It is our job to conquer. Now, great. So I have, at the beginning, I have the answer to my question, which is, what is the author trying to tell me? To face your fears head on. I have the 3 character qualities that Michelle displays, and I have what written out fear can be conquered, and life is full of fears. Now I'm going to go back to my template, and I'm going to write my topic sentence, reminding myself that I have to include the name of the story, and the fear that or the lesson that needs to be learned. So I'm going to write in the story, and the name of my story, if I don't remember, I'm going to look back, and the name of the story is On Stage. And it's very important that I spell it correctly, and that I put my title in quotation marks, in the story On Stage. And I have to restate the question. So the question is, what is the lesson the author feels the reader should learn in the story On Stage? So I'm going to say, in the story On Stage, the author feels the reader should learn to face your fears head on. Now, I want to read that one more time. I want to reread the question to make sure that I flipped it around and answered it correctly. So it said, what is the lesson the author feels the reader should learn in the story On Stage? And then my answer is, in the story On Stage, the author feels the reader should learn to face your fears head on. Okay? Great. Now I have that accomplished. Now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to fill in my transition words. And I think that since I'm writing this story as it's going along and I'm talking about her character qualities, I'm going to start with, first of all, and I'm going to put a comma in the footprint, in the heel. And then in the second one, I'm going to write as the story continues. Now here, because I'm in 4th grade, I know that I can use this shovel at any place that I want, and I decide that it would sound really good right here. So I'm going to put my shovel with my commas in the heel and write as the story continues. The next transition word, I'm going to write finally, and I'm just going to use that at the beginning of my sentence because I've already buried one set of transition words, and that will be enough. So I'm going to go back to that page. And then I'm going to make sure that each of my transition words are filled in. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to write a sentence to begin each paragraph with. So Michelle began the story by playing to her stuffed animals, of course, as if they were people. So I'm going to say, first of all, Michelle began the story by playing music for her stuffed animals as if they were an audience. Now let's read that and see if that makes sense to us. First of all, comma, Michelle began the story by playing music for her stuffed animals as if they were an audience. Great. That's really perfect. And let's go to the next one. And we're going to put as the story continues, and remember we're going to put Michelle in there. Michelle, as the story continues, voices her fears to her parents, doesn't she? She lets them know that she is afraid and that it's something she's not really comfortable with. So when she has a fear, of course, she has to do something about it. So the first step is talking about it. When we come to the end of the story, the character quality is success in her fear. So we're going to start with finally. Michelle uses an unusual strategy to accomplish success. What she does is she closes her eyes and they get blurry, but when she opens her eyes, she imagines almost by accident that the people are animals, and it relieves her stress. So I'm going to say Michelle uses an unusual strategy, almost by accident actually, to accomplish her success. Now let's read that and make sure that sentence makes sense. Finally, Michelle uses an unusual strategy to accomplish her success. Perfect.